In the mid-1980s, Toyota engineers started buying Mercedes and BMW flagships, brand new, full price, multiple cars. They drove them to a quiet town outside Tokyo and took them apart, down to the last bolt. Thousands of parts, tagged, measured, logged. This went on in secret for 6 years. It cost more than $1 billion. And when it was over, the Germans accused them of cheating, of selling the result below cost. Answering this machine would cost the chief engineer of Mercedes-Benz his job. This is how the maker of the Corolla declared war on Germany. The 1980s. The luxury market has two names: Mercedes S-Class, the default answer. For decades, the best car in the world and the S-Class mean the same thing. BMW 7 Series, younger, faster, closing in. And Toyota? Toyota means Corolla, reliable, affordable, everywhere. Worse, Toyota's own customers were leaving. They bought a Corolla, got rich, and bought a Mercedes. Toyota was building loyalty for its enemies. Nobody in Stuttgart or Munich considered Toyota a threat. Nobody considered Toyota at all. August 1983. A closed meeting in Japan. Toyota chairman Eiji Toyoda asks one question: can we build the best car in the world? Not a good car. Toyota knew how to do that. The best, by German definition, against German machines. The project gets a code name, F1, Flagship 1, a letter in a circle on classified documents. No budget limit, no deadline, no permission to compromise. Then Toyota mobilizes an army, 60 designers, 24 engineering teams, 1,400 engineers, 2,300 technicians. An army the size of a small town. And the world would not hear about it for 6 years. The first move of that army was not a sketch. It was a purchase order. Mercedes flagships, BMW flagships, bought, driven to a resort town outside Tokyo, and dissected. Every bolt out, every panel measured, every tolerance logged in journals thick as novels. They were looking for the weakness, the shortcut, the trick that holds the legend together. They did not find the easy weakness. The S-Class was not overpriced mythology. By every measurement they could run, it was exactly as good as its reputation, which meant there was no cheap way to win. To beat the Germans, Toyota would have to out-engineer them. On every axis, at the same time. The requirements came down. 4 targets. Quieter than the Mercedes, faster than the BMW, more aerodynamic than both, more fuel efficient than both. All of it, in one car at the same time. Here's the problem. Physics disagrees. Quiet needs weight. Weight kills speed. Speed drinks fuel. Every target sabotages the next one. The industry rule was, pick 2. Toyota ordered all 4. Toyota's own engineers looked at the sheet and said the words out loud. This specification argues with itself. The answer from the top did not change. All 4, simultaneously, find a way. The way turned out to be violence by numbers. 450 prototypes, built, measured, destroyed, rebuilt, measured again, destroyed again. Sometimes a prototype lived for days, because one measurement came back wrong. 900 engines, built to arrive at one. $400 million on the engine program alone. 14 full-size clay models sculpted and rejected. The industry norm for an entire car program is 5 or 6. 2.7 million kilometers of testing. They spent 2 years testing 24 kinds of wood for the interior trim. 2 years on wood. Then they started torturing the survivors. Arizona, prototypes left in the desert, windows down, for 3 months. Next to competitor cars left the same way. When they came back, the competitors showed cracked panels and faded interiors. The prototype looked nearly new. May 1986, Germany. Camouflaged prototypes begin running the Autobahn, full throttle, on the enemy's home road, at speeds their own engineers were not confident the cars could survive, because the target was tested there, and there was no version of better that avoided that road. The man driving all of this was Chief Engineer Ichiro Suzuki. One rule: never trust a number that is merely sufficient. After extensive wind tunnel testing, the aerodynamic target was met. Beaten, actually. Suzuki lowered the target again. Nobody asked him to. That was the point. He claimed to have studied every car key in production, every key, every manufacturer. Because if a key could not survive comparison, what right did the rest of the car have? That was the standard. For a key. Now imagine the engine. None of this was free. Over $1 billion. And counting. No fixed budget sounds like freedom. It is the opposite. No budget means no external limit to blame if you fail. Some engineers left the project. The ones who stayed described those years, when asked plainly, with one word: exhausting. And through all of it, 6 years, Mercedes and BMW received 0 signals. No leaks, no rumors, no name. They kept building the same cars at the same pace for a market they still believed belonged to them. The most expensive secret in the car industry was working. January 1989, Detroit. The night before the press day. A dark hall, one car. Under a cloth, one light. 6 years, $1 billion. An army of 4,000 people. All of it under one piece of fabric. It still has no name. The cloth comes off. The press sees a full-size luxury sedan. S-Class territory, clearly, unmistakably. Then they see the price, $35,000. Roughly half the price of a comparable S-Class. The first reviews did not describe excitement. They described confusion. A company with no history in this category had solved problems the veterans had stopped trying to solve. And here's the detail almost nobody knows. $35,000 was the inflated price. Toyota aimed for $25,000. The yen moved. The price went up $10,000, and it was still half the German number. The war was public now. There was no way back. And on the grill, a word that did not exist. Why not call it a Toyota? Because the badge that means Corolla cannot fight the badge that means S-Class. The car needed a clean slate, its own name, its own logo, its own network. 81 brand new dealerships. The name came from an agency, Lippincott and Margulies. 219 candidates. The finalists: Vectra, Verone, Chaparral, Caliber, Lexus. A Lexus mutated into a new word, Lexus. There is a legend that the name is code, Lexus, luxury exports to the US. It's a good story. It is also just a story. The verified part is stranger. Weeks before Detroit, lawyers almost killed the name. Mead Data, owners of the legal database Lexus, sued, and Toyota fought through court for the right to put its own name on its own car. The brand was nearly stillborn, in a courtroom. Now it had a name, a price, and the room's full attention. The Germans move. The German answer started quietly. They bought Lexus LS 400s and took them apart, down to the last bolt. The same ritual, the same tagged parts, except now the parts were Japanese and the hands were German. Their own accounting reached an impossible conclusion. This quality, at this price, should not exist. So the accusation went public, coming above all from BMW. Lexus was selling below cost, dumping. It was never proven, but hold the accusation up to the light. If it was true, it was a crime. If it was false, it was a confession. Because nobody accuses a weak product of being impossible. The accusations were words. The measurements were not. Drag coefficient, Lexus, 0.29. Better than both Germans. At 200 kilometers per hour, the Lexus cabin was as quiet as a BMW at 150. Then Lexus put the proof on television. 15 champagne glasses, stacked on the hood. The engine running at the equivalent of 145 miles per hour. Not one drop spilled. Competitors called it fake. An independent firm examined the film, frame by frame. It was real. And the market delivered its own verdict. Lexus entered the JD Power rankings and took first place. 1 year later, all three crowns at once. By 1991, Lexus was the #1 luxury import in America, ahead of Mercedes, ahead of BMW. One honest line. The German press never surrendered. Auto, Motor und Sport ranked the Lexus dead last. The market read the test and bought the Lexus anyway. Then Stuttgart moved. Mercedes reorganized its production around target costing, modeled on Lexus methods, and cut its American prices by nearly 10%. The rushed German answer exceeded its budget. The overrun cost Daimler's chief engineer his job. The maker of the Corolla had forced Germany to chase. The best car in the world stopped being a title you inherit. It became a specification, something you measure, something you can lose.